welcome to the Oakland County Megacast. I'm Tyler Keefe in the studios of our flagship stations, 89.3 Lakes FM and Civic Center TV. In addition, today, as always, we're on Birmingham Area Municipal Access. Both of our TV stations, Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99. On the web in HD, civiccentertv.com. Click on our Watch Live link or view us, and the small player at the top right of our home page. We're on the radio in Bloomfield Hills as well on 88.1 WBFH The Biff, and all throughout the world on social media on Facebook, facebook.com/CivicCenterTV15 and facebook.com/LakesFM. And as always, joining me here in the studio is Ronnie Dahl.
Tyler, this is not a good hair day.
Not for me either. I've been pulling it out all morning long because of various things going on around the building, but it's okay. It's fine. We'll live.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. It feels like it.
But here's what's happening. You're going to get all these problems out of the way today. And the rest of the week is going to be smooth sailing.
Sure.
How was your weekend, Tyler?
It was pretty good. I had to come in here for a few hours on Saturday to let some people into the building to do some work for the splash. But other than that, nice, enjoyable weekend.
Okay. I wondered when I got an email. I was like, why are you guys working on the weekend?
Yeah, well, why not?
That happens.
It does.
That happens. I will say, though, I'm working on a side project with a new business with a coworker, and when you go to work for yourself, there are no days off. Every day is some type of work day, but at least you're doing it for yourself, so
exactly.
It's not so bad.
Yeah, you're working on your own projects that you're clearly passionate about, and you're having fun doing it, hopefully. So, maybe it doesn't feel like work.
I will tell you, though, I had to try to put so much concealer on because I now understand what parents go through when they have a kid. Like a newborn child that doesn't sleep through the night. And I remember back in the day, my twin sister, she hired a night nanny so she could get a couple nights sleep. And I remember going, what? That's so crazy. But no, like when you don't get a good night's sleep and for days on end. So last week, of course, Trixie Dixie got spayed, and it hasn't been going so well.
Oh, no.
And she's had some complications, mainly from the medication. They switched the medication, but we had to, instead of going out on the boat all day Saturday, which I was so prepared for, I even made Jell-O shots.
Wow. Wow.
Like I was going back to college days.
That's usually the no turning back point.
Well, you know what it is like when you go out on the boat and it's like a new group and you don't know them, you kind of feel like you have to overdo things.
You got to loosen things up a little bit, right?
And so that was my plan for all day Saturday. And then Trixie wasn't doing well.
Oh, no.
So we had to take her back to the vet. And she wasn't eating. She would barely walk. And it's just so pitiful. Anyone who has a pet and they see them like this, you get it. And I guess it's the same as a kid, but dogs, your pets can't talk.
No.
So we take her back to Union Lake. And so then they kept her all day, put some fluids in her, went and picked her up. She was like, happy dog, because she got fluids because she'd been so dehydrated, and she even ate. So... but we have not had any sleep whatsoever. So you think she's getting better. And then yesterday she managed, because they make these onesies for your pets now, so they don't have to wear the cone of shame.
Right.
Well, she somehow or another, we went to Sunday dinner last night at my sister's house, and we have a dog cam, so we can pull it up and look.
Sure.
Somehow or another, Trixie managed to get her onesie off while in her crate, and was licking at her stitches and bothering her stitches. So now she has complications, and so we've had no sleep, and I just want this over. I just want it over.
Yeah, it's a painful process for dog owners, regardless of the timetable. But usually, it's a few days, maybe a week at most, and then you're in the clear and everything's right back to normal. But no, this is just going on for much longer than expected, clearly, and it's not looking like it's got a resolution coming anytime.
No, but I will say, so today will be a week, and it's like you said, usually, it's
by that point,
2 weeks, but usually a week they're almost back to normal.
Yeah.
But I will say the people at Union Lake, they've been so amazing and fabulous and tolerating us too. So much so that like yesterday, so we were having trouble getting her to eat, and they're like, well, she liked this canned dog food, and we make her own food and everything. So and then we've been doing the boiled chicken and the rice and this, that, and the other, and the dog's like, So we went back yesterday to pick up some food that they were able to get her to eat, and I felt so bad with all the attention that poor Trixie has been taking in time for them that I even dropped them off a thank you card and some flowers, because I was like, I am so sorry. But they're great though, and anytime like they call, hi, we just want to check on Trixie, you're like, aw, okay, it was worth the hundreds of dollars. But I will say, you know what, I'm sure other people, did you see the crazy video over the weekend of the Cherry Festival?
I did, yeah. No, it's insane.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, those are always a death trap, but that's pretty explicitly a death trap.
So I will say, for those that maybe have not seen the video, just Google Cherry Festival Ride. And what happened over the weekend up in Traverse City at the Cherry Festival, they had one of those, it looks like a ship, and it just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And for some reason, it was about to tip. Like you could see it coming off the ground. And people at the festival noticed, and they were crazy, and they went and they jumped on the ride to hold it back so it didn't tip. So insanity. But then we also had in Wyandotte, and it didn't get as much attention because there really was no video. The kid was doing rock climbing at the festival, and he fell 20 feet. Oh. And he suffered injuries. But my husband, the entire weekend, he is a no ride person. No ride. And the weekend was like, see?
Exactly.
That's why. That's why he's like, I would notice it because I'm always the one on the ground holding the coats, right? But do you even think about it when you go on those rides?
Not when I go on, but usually I'm skeptical going in. I'll maybe ride a couple of them just because these carnivals and these festivals that have these rides, it always seems like it's kind of a shoddy operation that's kind of just tossed together willy-nilly and not entirely safe. And so seeing that was shocking just because it's a shocking situation, but not entirely surprising because those things are death traps. My favorite thing from that story was when the updates to the story came in. It was like, yeah, the ride has now been demolished. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, no, they tore it down. Yeah, no, they took it down. They moved it to Muskegon. Yeah, of course they're demolishing it. They're not going to use it again. Clearly it's not in full operation there. It's not safe. Yeah, I would think they would have demolished it. Now they left it up. People are going back. They leaned it a little further one side.
So are you more comfortable if you go to like a Cedar Point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that's what they do. That's what they do, and it's in place. They are constantly, looking at that and repairing that and making changes. Whereas these carnival rides are being rented, they're being pulled in. Let's put them up as quickly as possible. Come on, we got a show to do here. We got people coming in. They're going to be paying, way too much money to put their lives at risk on this piece of garbage here. No.
So obviously, as a reporter here locally, investigative reporter, I've done the story countless times about the festival rides and the inspection reports as well. There was an incident a few years ago downriver with another ride. And so I will say it's somewhat devastating to the owners of these companies. So there's really only a few owners that have all the rides and everything, and they travel them, and they have it down to a science. But you wonder too if the employment shortage kind of played a role in this as well. Are they having trouble trying to get some employees that typically come along and set up these rides and this, that, and the other? But typically, just so you know too, it's really kind of up to the local community to do the inspections as well. So the rides are supposed to be inspected before it opens to the public, but then it's up to really the company and the employees to do daily inspections of the ride before they allow people on.
And maybe the employment shortage and employment issues that we're seeing are having an impact on that I would think more from retaining employees than necessarily bringing them in, because one can be connected to the other. If you have people that are continuously on your team looking at these machines, they're familiar with them, they are used to those idiosyncrasies that may be visible in the behaviors of the machine from one location to another, and kind of be able to pinpoint what needs to be repaired, what needs to be looked at, and whether or not a machine is safe. And if you have someone new coming in that they're trained on it, and maybe it's pretty quick because you're trying to replace that turnover as quickly as possible, that can put you in a bad spot. And then on the local level too, if you have new inspectors coming in that maybe are trying to get things done quickly because they have a lot to do and there's a backlog and there's not enough people to cover all those inspections necessarily, that can also put two and two together to create a really hastily inspected situation, which is of course extremely dangerous.
Hey, you want to talk about another crazy ride? Mm-hmm. Branson.
Yes.
His space travel.
Oh, yes.
History was made yesterday. Did you watch it live?
No, I didn't. I had better things to do than watch a billionaire go into space. He can stay there.
It's still really fascinating, though, that it's opening up the doors.
It is.
To this new world of the possibility of space travel for just regular people like you and I. I don't know if I'm there.
I'm not, for one reason. Where the hell am I going to go out there? There's nothing. Look, I can explain.
Well, the whole thing lasted, right. Like 90 minutes?
Right. I can go up there and see from space. I can watch a NASA video from space.
250 grand.
Exactly. I'm not blowing 250 grand on it. One, because I just can't. And two, more importantly, why? There's nothing. We're not going anywhere. There's no location we're going to on the moon where, hey, we're walking around on the moon. No, we're not. We're not going to Mars. We don't even know if that's inhabitable for humans at this point in time. The jury's still out on that. And everywhere else, it's taken years upon years to get there. Who cares?
So we know that the success yesterday is really going to open the doors for future space travel, not just with Branson and his company,
Yes.
which the shares, by the way, skyrocketed.
Of course. Yeah,
but Bezos is also in on the game, so we'll see. I think he's expected to take flight, next week or so, or in a couple weeks.
That's coming up pretty soon.
Really interesting, though, to see how this may develop down the line and the future of this as well. And I get, regular people, it's not going to be open to us.
Of course.
But if you had the money, would people want to do it? And it's a trip in a lifetime. It's 90 minutes,
Sure.
but and while we can go through, simulations here on Earth to have no gravity and this, that, and the
Sure.
other, is it worth $250?
Maybe if you're just throwing that around casually, it is. But
And I always say too, I to people who have that much money, I want to say, can you just be a fairy godmother and
Right.
go through communities and you see these nonprofits or these neighborhood heroes who are struggling to put food on the table, but yet they are making such a huge difference in their community. $250,000 to some initiatives like that could go so much further than you experiencing, the loss of gravity for 90 minutes.
yeah, especially with everything we've been through over the last 15 months plus with COVID-19 and the impact that's had on so many of these communities and the impact it's had on their local economies and their local businesses as well. And then just people that even before that were in situations where they needed a lot of help. $250,000 a pop for each person that's on that vehicle going into space could do a lot of good in a lot of communities, instead of having the opportunity to go into space and say, oh, well, I went to space today. What did you do this weekend? Who cares?
Hey, you know who could use some of that money? Some of our unemployment
Yes.
individuals, because taking a check of the headline, 648,000 COVID jobless aid recipients here in the state of Michigan have been asked to clarify their qualifications and may be asked to return the money. More than 648,000 Michigan unemployment recipients have to file additional paperwork and may have to repay benefits because of unapproved qualification criteria developed by the state agency. The Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency mailed letters in June to claimants who had marked one of four reasons provided by the state to indicate they were eligible for the federal pandemic unemployment assistance. It's a form of the jobless aid made available to part-time, self-employed, or gig workers who wouldn't normally qualify for the benefit. So the U.S. Department of Labor said the 4 qualifications listed by the state when it began distributing the pandemic unemployment assistance benefits did not comply with federal guidelines. This forced the state to reevaluate the PUA eligibility for all individuals who selected Michigan's non-qualifying reasons. So the UIA's mailing came as a source of frustration for Representative Steve Johnson, who is a Republican. He's taken hours of oversight committee testimony regarding delays, fraudulent claims, and mistakes at the UIA. And he said the Unemployment Insurance Agency is a mess. If the state made the mistake, the people shouldn't have to pay for it. The state should have to pay for it. And I think anyone, even prior to the pandemic, there have been so many complaints about the Unemployment Insurance Agency, and things did not get better. And we do understand that, any agency that has a crush of new applicants in a situation such as this, there are going to be issues. But could you imagine you got your unemployment? Hey, we need it back.
Yeah, that's
good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck, getting that back from the people you've distributed it to, because they need that money. And on top of that, you made a mistake at the state level, and there were a lot of mistakes that have been made because there was such a mass of unemployment claims made over the course of the pandemic, especially early on. But this is not something. That's something to be more careful about earlier on, instead of coming back later on and saying, "Hey, well, we accidentally gave you this money that you may or may not have deserved. So either give it all back, and we'll see if we should have given it to you, or prove even further that something you did, 6 months ago, a year ago, 15 months ago was exactly how it was, based off of your memory and what records you have kept."
And to all the people out there that scam the system, shame on you.
Yes.
There were headlines last week about the couple. She actually worked for the unemployment agency, and then the other guy, he had so many fake accounts and was unemployed, on unemployment, but posting on his Instagram of him living the life. Hey, that's our tax dollars.
Yeah,
you're not stealing from the government. You're stealing from your neighbor.
Yeah, go live the life behind bars.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, vaccinated teachers and students don't need masks, according to the CDC. Vaccinated teachers and students will not need to wear masks inside school buildings. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Changes come amid a national vaccination campaign in which children as young as 12 are eligible to get shots, as well as the general decline in COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths. Now, the nation's top public health agency is not advising schools to require shots for teachers and vaccine-eligible kids. It's not offering guidance, though, on how teachers can know which students are vaccinated or how parents will know which teachers are immunized. And this is going to be a huge headache for so many of the school districts. Here's the other thing. Schools should also continue to space kids at their desk 3 feet apart in the classrooms, according to the CDC, but the agency emphasized spacing should not be an obstacle to getting kids back to school. And it said distancing is not required among fully vaccinated students or staff. So, to all of our superintendents and school leaders out there, good luck navigating this one.
Yeah, a lot of mixed messages in this. Once again, you should space kids out, but also it's not entirely necessary because you're not going to know. But if you do know, you can space them out. But if you don't know, don't worry about it. What's the message you're trying to send here? They're trying to get some scenario here where they can put kids back in school in the fall, because they know that this virtual learning that's been going on over the past year has been beneficial to some, but mostly been an annoyance or has been a hindrance to learning for many, including educators out there on the front lines who have had to arguably double their workload during the pandemic for all the start and the stop. So if you have vaccinated teachers, your school district really should be able to know who is vaccinated so that they can coordinate those classrooms properly. Or at the very least, I think what we're going to end up seeing happen is they'll distance the kids and they'll require masks until we've reached the herd immunity point here in Michigan.
Hey, Faster Horses, the festival. It's about to get ready to party for tens of thousands of people as the music returns to MIS. Michigan's biggest country music festival is back in the starting gate, and it's poised to be not just the state's biggest gathering since COVID-19 and the crisis hit way back in, March 2020, but one of the first major festivals to return nationwide. Faster Horses, which traditionally has drawn 40,000 plus daily, will hit Michigan International Speedway this upcoming weekend for 3 days, camping, country tunes, and red, white, and blue partying as the July tradition notches its 8th installment. So headliners Luke Combs, Thomas Rhett, Jason Aldean lead a lineup that's unchanged from the bill originally set for last year before the concert and the rest of the industry got sidelined because of the pandemic. Attendance will not be announced until the festival concludes, but officials say they expect crowd numbers to approach those of previous years. So if so, Faster Horses will be the biggest event in Michigan since Garth Brooks played for 70,000 fans at Ford Field. That was back in February of 2020. We get, the Tigers are playing again, but still, even since the Tigers have returned to full capacity, the largest crowd has been about 34,500. So still nowhere near what the concert for Faster Horses. I have friends that are going to that, so should be a good time. It's going to be interesting, though, how many people are comfortable going back into a crowd like that. And if you aren't vaccinated, will you wear a mask? Even, you're being asked to, but will you do that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a balancing act for a lot of people that maybe were comfortable going when the numbers were looking a little bit smaller in terms of what the maximum attendance could be at this event. Maybe now with it looking like it's going to be along the lines of a normal festival season at Faster Horses, albeit with maybe several thousand fewer than normal in that case. That might change it for some people that may decide to bow out given the current circumstances here. But I think for a lot of people that do go, you'll have a mixed bag of people that are saying, well, I'm vaccinated, I'm fine, or we're at a point now where things are opening back up and I'm fine, and other people that are going to be cautious and are going to be smart about it and say, I don't know who's vaccinated. If I'm in my pod and I know that I'm with vaccinated people and I'm vaccinated, then I'm fine, but otherwise I'm going to keep it safe and try not to, if I'm carrying the virus potentially, try not to spread it to other people that may not be vaccinated.
With that, you can always get the latest headlines. Just go to civiccentertv.com, click on coronavirus. They are posted each and every day. Also, if you want to read the latest CDC order, you'll find the latest links, the direct links rather, to the CDC, the state of Michigan, Oakland County, and our local communities right there at the top of the page. With that, we'll take a break here on the Megacast. Get the show rolling. I'm thinking of the stars of Faster Horses.
Wow.
With that, we'll get the show started after the break. When we come back, we'll be speaking with the executive director for Downtown Development Authority for the city of Rochester. Such a fun city. And also in the 10 o'clock hour, Bob Waun will be joining us on the show. He is such a mover and shaker for Pontiac. I'm looking forward to his conversations. First time we're having him on the show because Pontiac really is kind of the heart right here. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if we can get Pontiac rolling, this whole area is going to benefit from that. So that's all coming up here in the 10 o'clock hour of the Megacast.
People are getting out to walk and bike in higher numbers. More vulnerable road users and higher speed traffic can be a dangerous combination. Crash severity has increased, so if you're driving, be sure to slow down and look for people. There's no need to speed. If you're biking, ride with traffic. If you're walking, avoid stepping into the road if possible. If you have to walk in the street, walk facing traffic. Learn more at walkbikedrivesafe.org.
One of the things you can look for in your friends is a change in behavior. These can be big changes, they can be small changes in mood, physical appearance. They may be sleeping less or sleeping more, drinking more, or their eating patterns may be different. One big change that can be pretty obvious is change in motivation. Do they no longer want to play basketball? Do they no longer want to play video games? Now that we're spending more time online and in virtual settings, it's really important to pay attention to the language that your friend is using and the words they're using to communicate. So when we text our friends, are they taking longer amounts of time to respond? Are they not responding at all? You don't have to be an expert to try to recognize these signs. The second that you feel it in your gut and that you're concerned, that's the second to have the conversation and open the door to what might be going on.
Whatever gets you talking.
Great to have you with us here on this dreary, cloudy, drizzly Monday morning, which, you know what, that makes it a great day to be indoors and to tune into the Megacast, right?
Yeah, perfect day for that.
Right, and so we are here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon, live. You can catch us Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access, Channel 15 Comcast, 99 on AT&T. Listen to us on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. Or you can also check us out on Facebook because we do stream the show live as well. So excited to bring in our next guest and our first guest on this Monday morning to talk about all the exciting things happening in Rochester. Kristin Trevarrow joins us here on the Megacast. She's the Executive Director for the Downtown Development Authority for Rochester. Great to have you with us, Kristin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You are such a creative person. How have you been, though, in the middle of the pandemic? Has it helped inspire new ideas, or were you sidelined in the beginning like the rest of us?
You know, honestly, we came right out of the gate with some new ideas and new things because we knew that this book was unwritten and we really didn't have much of a choice, to be honest. So we really tried hard to do some new things. We wrote out a whole new brand right at the beginning of the pandemic called Love Local Rochester that really caught fire for us, and that helped fund a lot of things that we did. We did merchandise with it on because there was such demand, but it brought our community together under that little rallying cry of Love Local Rochester, and it really meant something, and it's been carrying us through this last year. I mean, our downtown certainly wasn't unaffected, but we really hardly lost any businesses during that time. And I attribute a lot to that, to the hard work that our team put in.
So with that as well, Love Local Rochester, that really is a great slogan. But how has it been as we've gone month after month after month? Because in the beginning, there was so much support for local. Yeah. Are you still seeing it, or is it starting to fade a little bit?
You know, honestly, we've been really excited to say that it hasn't waned at all. And actually, a lot of people are still been doubling down on local. I think that, you know how they say, I think it's like it takes 6 months to change a habit. I think that over the pandemic, maybe people that weren't always 100% on downtown Rochester thinking of us first for shopping or dining or what have you, they changed that mindset because they knew that they loved downtown. It was something they wanted to see continue and be preserved. And so they kept showing up for us during the pandemic, and they're continuing to do it now. And any events that we've been doing, we've had record crowds. They're continuing to show up for us.
Wow, that is incredible. So if we could talk as we go into the summer months, because we do know typically for so many communities that are walkable communities, the summer really is, you know, the backbone of, the economy for the entire year. So how is it looking in the summertime, and what events do you have going on and coming up?
Yeah, this is our first big week of the summer where we're doing a lot of events. So we actually have our sidewalk sales. It's our 66th annual sidewalk sales happening this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in downtown. And then in addition to that, we have our Dancing in the Street concert on Friday night. On Saturday, we kick off with our farmers market, continue sidewalk sales all day, and then we have our movies in the moonlight that night.
That's a lot to juggle.
It's a lot. We call it our summer Thunderdome. So we have a holiday one as well, but this is our busiest week of the summer.
So how do you anticipate is going to be, received from the community? Still, again, record numbers?
Honestly, we've been getting a lot of calls. A lot of people asking questions about dancing in the street specifically, because that's on one specific street. It is going to be a larger crowd, like you were talking about, for faster horses and things like that. It's going to be definitely people together, and people are asking, what are the provisions? Are there tables? What's this? What's that? We're trying to keep things as normal as possible. We are, of course, people have the opportunity with every event that we do. They can space it out. They can come and spend as little or as much time as they like. We're trying to make sure that we have as many opportunities for people to come at their comfort level and do what they want to do and still be able to enjoy our downtown.
Yeah, that's one of the hard things right now coming out of the pandemic. Well, we hope we're coming out of the pandemic, is trying to gauge the comfort level of so many various different people, because we do know pretty much in the beginning the mandates in a way made it easier.
It did to a point. They got a little confusing as we went through, not knowing what was right. And then a lot of people just, their comfort level ebbed and flowed as information came available, where the cases numbers were, everything like that. What we've been trying to do is make sure that we have a mix, so that we do have the events like a dancing in the street or movies in the moonlight for people that are comfortable and want to just feel normal and do what we do. At the same time, we've been doing more promotionally based things that people, it's not a finite period of time, but they can come at their leisure. They can do it online if they want, or they can come in person. And so we've been trying to have those parallel tracks, because we want to make sure that whether they can come in person or not, that they still feel a part of our community.
We're talking with Kristin Trevarrow. She's the executive director for the Rochester DDA, the Downtown Development Authority. And Kristin, you mentioned sidewalk sales, which, I have a retail background, and it was always a big event. But I wonder, how is it going to be this year? Because we've also changed our shopping habits throughout the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have. And what we've noticed downtown is that it really forced a lot of our small businesses to step up with their online presence, which they hadn't done before. So I think that some of them do still have that going, and that's great. But people love to come in person. That was one of the things when retail was able to open back up last year. People that had kept an online presence, had kept a social media presence during the shutdown, they said when they opened their door, they had a line out the door that people wanted to come in. So we know that we have, I think it's about 40 plus businesses that are setting up tents outside, that people can do their shopping outdoors, which is a great thing for us in the summertime with what's going on, telling people they can just stay outdoors, which is great. A lot of people are doing indoor sidewalk sales, which is fine too. But like I said, we've had a lot of positive response of people wanting to feel normal, do what they normally do. They still support us online, support our businesses online, but they like still coming out because it makes them feel like everything's back to the way it was.
Amazon makes it easy, especially with the one click. You just hit it and things magically appear on my porch. It's amazing how that happens. But I will say, when you actually want unique gifts, there's nothing like going into a store and just browsing, because you find things you would never find. And that really, to me, is the stuff that you look around your house that you cherish more.
I don't disagree with that at all. And especially for Rochester, we're in a unique position because we're mostly boutiques down here that are all family owned. We don't have a lot of chain things. So exactly what you're saying. So the things that people are coming shopping at market and bringing into their shops are things that they know that their customers are going to appreciate and like. And it's kind of like back in the day, they used to call it the mailbox moment, that you're so excited when you got to open your mailbox and see what that cool piece of mail was. I think it's the same thing. It's sort of switched now from that Amazon moment to that retail moment back again, our Main Street moment, if you will, that people like to come and have that moment, see their friends, if people know them by name, they get to get that fun shopping bag with their special purchase they can't wait to take home. I think people have come back around that they like that one-on-one again, whereas people maybe before everything happened were going more for the online. It is convenient, absolutely. People are still going to shop online, but I still think that Main Street moment is there.
So, Kristin, I have a secret to tell you. I'm one of those people that when I go to the mailbox now, if there's nothing fun in it, I close it and I don't take anything out. And I wait and let my husband go get all the mail. But if I'm expecting something like, if I ordered something from Etsy or Poshmark or something, then I'll check it. But otherwise, no. And I literally close the mailbox and put the stuff back in.
I support that. That's fair.
Because back in the day we used to get magazines too, and those have kind of gone by the wayside. Although because I ordered so many in the past, I have some that are like just popping up in my mailbox. I think they're trying to get people to buy them again. Hey, but if we can ask about going back to the sidewalk sales, how has the supply chain been for some of the businesses?
They've been okay, only because being boutique, they really go to a lot of smaller operations too. A lot of them are not bringing things in from overseas, that they're going and shopping from local people in California, in Atlanta, things like that. So we haven't had too much of an impact from that right now. We've been pretty good, but I know that's something we might still see coming in the future. But we've been okay.
Kristin Trevarrow with us here on the Megacast. Again, she's with the Rochester Downtown Development Authority. Tell us more about Movies in the Moonlight.
So Movies in the Moonlight, we do that in our farmers market parking lot. We're kicking ours off this Saturday night. So we tell people it's BYOC, bring your own chair. We'll have fresh popcorn out there. And Saturday night we'll be showing Aladdin. Which will be a fun one for the kids. Our sponsor that night, which is Red Piano Music Studio, they're going to be doing a drum circle with songs from Aladdin, and people can just bring a blanket, bring pillows, bring their chairs, whatever they want to do, and just pop up in the farmers market parking lot and watch a movie, and it's free.
So as someone who, gets to help plan some of these events, how worried are you about the weather?
Yeah, weather's evil. We don't like it. So
and Mother Nature seems like she's been bipolar, right?
Oh my goodness. And that's what I was saying is it's not like we just have sprinkles of rain anymore. We have torrential grab your children type of rain lately, and it's concerning. But the other thing we know about living in Michigan is that you can look at the forecast all day as it's going to rain, and then all of a sudden sunny skies. So we always keep an eye on it. And so we do have some concerns, but we wait until the actual game moment before we would make any decisions.
How important are these events to some of these businesses to help them continue to survive? Because let's say they made it through the worst of the pandemic, it's still not business as usual for so many of them.
Yeah, I mean, these special events, that's a fabric of our downtown, and many downtowns for that matter, is having those special events that certainly we can try to draw people down on non-event days, but it's a lot easier when there's fun things happening in town. You've got this great vibe going, and so they can go to the different shops and grab something. They can go get an ice cream cone. It's the whole experience that we're packaging. So any event that we can do for the businesses is super important. At the same time, I think that things like Movies in the Moonlight, which are a little bit more community-based, that is more that we are trying to ring registers and help our businesses, but we're still trying to be that hub for our community so that everyone can start coming back together and healing.
Well, and two, we've realized throughout this pandemic, it's our shops and our stores that make all of our communities unique, especially a place like Rochester, because it's kind of a destination place. Even if you don't live in Rochester, people come there from all over to experience that. And do you think it's going to change the mindset for some of these families to really start taking advantage of some of these programs that are right here in our own backyard?
I think you're 1,000% correct. I think a lot of people, maybe they didn't think about it at the time, but people have really kind of reassessed and reevaluated. And anything that we've put out there that's been family oriented, they've been showing up. They've been wanting to do that. They're asking for more of it, and we're happy to deliver it.
Plus, we know right now if you even try to travel and you go up north or wherever people typically go, it is costing so much money right now. I think I saw a study like hotel rooms are up like 45% because people are starting to travel. So this is really a great way, like stay home, staycations, right? We heard it all last year, and make it a routine now.
Yes, definitely. I think some people went away maybe for 4th of July for the first time being away that weekend, but they're back now and they're ready to start spending some local time.
So tell us about some other events that you have planned coming up in the months ahead.
Sure. So we have next month, we have Junk in the Trunk coming up, which is our community resale event. One of my favorite event names ever. It's people. Oh my God. I know, it's awesome, isn't it? So people literally will sell out of the back of their car, if you will, and it's great for, especially in August, for kids going back to school if they're looking to pick up some furniture, some knickknacks, things like that. We do have some crafters that come, some artists, so it's some really interesting stuff. Our farmers market's in full swing every Saturday all the way through October, and then coming up in September, we'll have our magical mural tour, which is 4-foot by 8-foot plywood murals all over our downtown. And then also in September, we'll have our Taste of Fall event, which is something that we did during the pandemic last year to support the restaurants, where our restaurants all do special dishes or drinks that are the Taste of Fall in Michigan. So we have a lot of fun things happening. And of course, we're already starting to plan for holiday.
So with that too, what's a session like in your office to try to come up with new events?
It's funny. We are very fortunate because as a Main Street program, we have a lot of committees that we work with. So internally, we have an open concept office here in our studio. We actually moved to a Main Street location during the pandemic to be more accessible to the community. So literally, as I'm talking to you right now, I can wave at my team. They're right on either side of me over here. But it's always just, we're thinking about things like, hey, what's this? What's that? And then we'll bring it to whatever committee it works with, which are people that are community that are business owners, property owners, residents of Rochester and outside of Rochester. And then we just kind of start throwing the ideas around, and it just flows. And it's so much better not on Zoom because we can really have that synergy back in person again, which is pretty great.
Yeah, we are all looking forward to being together so much more. Kristi, I have to say too, before we say goodbye to you, Kristi did the Dancing with the Stars event a couple years ago. Were you so nervous?
Honestly, it was the best thing that happened when I was done, because look, when we were rehearsing, everybody just was putting their heart and soul into it. And at that point, I didn't feel as nervous because I felt like we were all in it together, but it was a great experience. It was amazing.
It really is. It is fun, but it's nerve-wracking as well. You did a great job, though.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Again, Kristi, where can people find out more information about some of the events you guys have coming up and trying to keep track of it all?
Sure. So you could go to our website always, which is downtownrochestermi.com. Or if you search us on Facebook, you can go to our Downtown Rochester Facebook page. Or if you want to be a little bit more interactive, join our Love Local Rochester group Facebook page, where you'll get a lot more insider tips and things that are happening in the moment.
Well, I know it's been quite the year for you and your team. So hopefully you have a great vacation plan for the summer.
November. I get to go early November before holiday hits.
Yes, because of course then it's the big holiday light show in Rochester.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Kristi, it's been great having you. We so appreciate your time.
Thanks, Marty. We appreciate it.
It's great to see so many events starting to come back to our local communities because so many people want to get back to living life. This summer just feels different.
It does. It feels different. It feels much more normal than the last couple have because of COVID-19. And I think people are excited to get back out and try new things and explore their community more than ever.
When we come back after the break, we'll be heading to another community, Pontiac, talking with Bob Waun. He is really working so much behind the scenes to try to make Pontiac a destination place as well. We'll be talking to him just after the break here on the Megacast.
Here's one more reason to get the COVID-19 vaccine. It's your shot to win. Anyone 18 years or older in Michigan vaccinated between December 1st, 2020 and July 30th, 2021 is now eligible to win millions in cash prizes, including $1 million jackpots and $50,000 daily prizes. And vaccinated students could win thousands in college scholarships. For eligibility details and to enter, go to mishottowin.com.
Today, it is easier than ever to join Michigan's Organ Donor Registry and help build a bridge of hope for organ, tissue, and eye donation. Just one person can potentially save or help improve the lives of up to 75 people. By joining, your legacy could be the gift of life. Sign up today at michigan.gov/SOS or at any of the more than 145 Secretary of State self-service stations located across Michigan. Be part of Michigan's Bridge of Hope by adding your name to the Organ Donor Registry.
Thank you for being with us here on the Megacast. Just as a reminder, if you don't have the time to spend with us, the full 2 hours, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. till noon, we kind of understand, but you can find previous episodes. Just go to civiccentertv.com, click on the Megacast tab, and there you'll find full episodes going back to when they started the show, or you can just hit the on-demand section to try to watch the individual interviews as well. I'm excited to have our next guest on as well. First time we've had him on the show, but to me, Tyler, someone that lives here locally in Kegel Harbor, Pontiac fascinates me just because of the demographics of Pontiac, and it sits in the middle of one of the wealthiest counties, and I feel like Pontiac's almost like a forgotten city.
Yeah.
But there has been a renewed effort going on to try to bring Pontiac back and make it cool again,
Yes.
and one of the movers and shakers behind the scenes. Bob Waun joins us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Dirt Realty in Pontiac, but you are so much more than that as well. Great to have you with us, Bob. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on your show.
So tell us again, first I have to ask, how'd you come up with the name Dirt Realty? What is the story behind that?
The credit actually goes to a friend of mine who's very good at marketing. It was not my idea at all, but all real estate starts with a good location with good dirt. And so that's the basis of every good real estate deal. You've heard the axiom of location, location, location. Without dirt, you don't have real estate. Without dirt, you don't have fertility. So, we believe in investing in the soil first. So a bit of a green idea behind the company as well.
I love that now that you say it, because obviously when you see the name, for people without the story, you're kind of like, huh, that's very interesting. But I will say you've really been an advocate for Pontiac for years. And are you hopeful that we're going to see Pontiac reach its full potential?
I'm actually very surprised that I'm still having this conversation about Pontiac coming back. It's been over 9 years for me now that I came to town, and I thought, this is amazing. It's right under my nose. I was living in Birmingham at the time. Could not have found Pontiac on a map 9 years ago, and yet it was 11 minutes from my home.
Wow.
It borders Bloomfield Hills. If we were on our tour today, I'd start you at a house where there's a concrete wall right behind St. Joe's. One side of the wall is $1 million home in Bloomfield Hills. The other side of the wall now is a house that's probably worth $75,000. But when I started the tour 9 years ago, the house was worth about $7,500. That's how much Pontiac's property values have come up. We're looking at multiples that exceed anything in Oakland County or even Detroit as far as property value rise. And yet we've still got a long ways to go. We're about a third the cost of Waterford. So there's lots of value creation left to be done here in Pontiac. A lot of work left to be done 9 years on, but we've got great momentum, the best momentum that I've seen in the last 9 years in the last 6 months here. So
that's actually encouraging, especially for the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic. What do you think is going to be the long-term implication when it comes to commercial real estate?
It's interesting. The Opportunity Zone Act that went into effect in 2018, I think people are just beginning to realize how big of an incentive that is to invest in places like Pontiac, Detroit, Lansing, anywhere where there's an opportunity zone. You can actually shield 100% of your capital gains tax. If capital gains taxes go up, it's an exponential gain, but you can invest here, keep your money here for 10 years, sell tax-free 10 years from now. So as far as a commercial real estate investor goes, you're a long-term investor, and it really incents you to consider places like Pontiac for investment right now. The fact that we're a third the cost of Waterford, a third the cost of, half the cost of Troy, Southfield, we're a discount on Southfield. Any Oakland County community, we're way under those valuations. There's a lot of upside here, and in a market where there isn't a lot of upside potential because everything's so hot. I think that's part of the reason why there's a renewed interest for us right now.
So with that too, I do think it's, we have United Wholesale Mortgage that moved into Pontiac, and they continue to grow. And now Amazon is coming, and of course the M1 concourse. Housing continues to be an issue. If we can get people to come into Pontiac and buy new homes or get the housing crisis, do you think that's going to help bolster Pontiac's bottom line?
What's interesting is that the supply of homes here is at its lowest level since 2003. I've got stats that I've been tracking, and the house values are up almost 700% from the bottom. House values are still very affordable here, but the housing stock, one of the projects I worked on first, Bill Pulte had the Blight Authority, and we identified 1,100 blighted structures in Pontiac going back probably 6 years ago. And over the course of 4 years under Mayor Waterman's leadership, we were able to get rid of that bottom rung of the housing ladder, houses that were really derelict and shouldn't have been lived in. So we need to replace 1,100 housing units here. To give you an idea, Detroit had 80,000 blighted structures at the time that we had 1,100. So they're well on their way to being blight-free sometime in 2050, and we've been blight-free here now for 3 years. So amazing at the scale of change, as you mentioned, and thank you for noting it. United Wholesale Mortgage will be over 10,000 employees in Pontiac, moved here from Troy. Amazon's going to bring over 3,000 employees to a 4 million square foot facility. Just today in CoStar National Story featured that Amazon project. And right now I'm sitting in the old Ottawa Towers, which was a GM facility that my partnership group was able to buy with the help of the city and the seller. This is a 500,000 square feet of amazing Class A office space. GM was the largest corporation in the world when they built this. They could have been anywhere in America, and they chose Pontiac because it's a great location, and these are great properties. Today, Amazon can be anywhere in America, and they chose Pontiac as well. United Wholesale could be anywhere in America, and they chose Pontiac. I think, things like that, Williams International, the job growth here is amazing. Now we need the housing to pick up, and we're trying to build 1,100 new units in Pontiac in the downtown in the next 5 years to support that amazing job growth that we've got here right now.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I always get a frog in my throat, like in the middle of interviews, so I apologize. I will say a big shout out to Big Pulte, and I was in Detroit when there was kind of that little dispute with him and Mayor Duggan. Yeah. And I think it's been the best thing for the city of Pontiac because Pulte said, okay, I'll go to Pontiac. And I think as someone who lives in Kegel Harbor, I was excited to see that happen. But in talking with the people with nonprofits and some of these other organizations, it is kind of a struggle, or it was early on, in trying to get the focus to Pontiac because so much attention was on Detroit coming out of the bankruptcy, and so many grants were going to Detroit to help develop Detroit. Can some of that money start to flow to Pontiac now?
It is. So the city of Pontiac in the last week received over $37 million from the Recovery Act. To put that in perspective, that's more money than the city's seen probably ever. It's never had that kind of influx of capital. And the question among the town and the leaders here is, what should we do to invest that money wisely to get a 10x return on it? And of course, when you all of a sudden come into money, that can distort things in a bad way too. So we want to be very careful about how that money gets deployed in the city of only under 60,000 people. So it's an incredible opportunity. It's an opportunity that other communities here in Oakland County did not receive. It's the first time in my 9 years that I've been here that we've had any kind of real capital to work with to try to make change happen here. Things that have happened in the town up till now have largely been done with baling wire and duct tape for the very reason you said, is all the money was going to Flint for the water crisis in Detroit for their bankruptcy. And when I would approach leaders, they'd say, well, there's nothing left for you in Pontiac. Pontiac's in a rich county, turn to Oakland County and talk to them. And I think that this, the day has come when this was the original city for the entire region. This is the best location in the richest county in the state of Michigan. And there's been a policy, frankly, and I get in trouble when I say this, but I'll say it here, of containment, of let's just keep Pontiac kind of contained and not let the Pontiac blight spread throughout the county. Wisely, the world has woken up and decided that that isn't right, it isn't American, and it isn't fair to do that any longer. So this is our moment. We've got to make some good and big decisions here in Pontiac in the near term, and we've got the money and capital and some really smart and wonderful people on the team right now to make the change happen. I mean, the enthusiasm here is palatable. It's a bit of a gray day. I'd love to pan and show you the skyline of the city because it really is a new day in Pontiac that, great potential. It's a city with incredible bones, incredible history, And there's some fantastic people, new and a long time committed to the city. They're all pulling on the rope in the same direction right now.
So,
Keego Harbor will be a big beneficiary of Pontiac's coming back too.
well, we hope so. I know there are plans in Keego Harbor as well, but Bob, you know, as someone who goes in and tries to change things, some people don't always like change, but I will say I'm excited that the Phoenix Center stayed. I know it's been a big controversy for as long as I've lived in the area, but I think it's so unique to Pontiac. Are you excited for the Phoenix Center? Because I saw that when you panned, you were right there.
Yeah, we are. So our group has a 50-year lease on the parking portion of the Phoenix Center. And last month we had the first event in 14 years on the roof of the Phoenix Center. In fact, we just got lighting that I noted was still turned on today that needs to be turned off, installed on the Phoenix Center for the first time in 14 years. We privately paid to have that put up there so the Mayor Waterman could do the State of the City event there. It was the first time in 14 years anyone has used this amazing $17 million cost structure. It is pristine, Ronnie. If I could show you right now, I would. There are no weeds growing through the paver blocks on the top of the Phoenix Center. It is a gorgeous, amazing 7-acre urban elevated park. I'll be in New York later this week to go walk the High Line again. This is Oakland County, the Detroit region's High Line. And nobody's been up here in 14 years, except for some skateboarders that are very talented that we can watch out the window as well. So it's going to come back. Every major band that you can think of has played that stage behind me. It's an 8,000 seat or 8,000 capacity amphitheater, and it's ready. It just needs a little bit more work to welcome the public back in, but we're excited to see it turn back on.
Bob Waun with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Dirt Realty in Pontiac, but you're also, you're an investor, but you're also a community activist, and I know that you've been very invested in the city of Pontiac. For someone who maybe hasn't been there, let's say in the last 5-7 years, because I was excited when Slows moved in and we were starting to see more restaurants reopen right there in that downtown strip. And it seemed like Pontiac was getting a little bit of momentum to move forward. And then COVID hit, and there were issues even before that. So if someone hasn't been there, what can they expect if they go to Pontiac? Is it going to be a different Pontiac?
If you just drive through town, you're going to see still a lot of closed up buildings. You're going to see full parking spaces, and you're going to wonder where all the people are. But to see the city properly, you really need to have a back room tour of what's going on here. Most of the second floors and higher are offices of really interesting and cutting edge companies. Of course, Pete Carmano's moved his incubator businesses up here into one of the buildings. There are dozens and dozens of interesting tech startups in town. There's an energy drink company here. Entrepreneurial enterprises. One of the things I'm most excited about is that if you have a new young business that you're looking to start up, this is the place to come. It's affordable. You don't spend your money on rent. You spend your money on growing your business here. And there's a network of other entrepreneurs that meet up at the coffee shops. There's 2 breweries, Alley Cat, where people are networking every day, working on new and interesting, especially creative business types. So, to go to a typical office park and start up your company, you're going to spend a lot of money in rent. You won't do that in Pontiac. You won't have the same ecosystem of entrepreneurialism that we have here. And that's a great advantage right now. And that's what people would see differently. You won't see that by just driving down Main Street, though.
I know that I went to the Art Jam a few weekends ago with Carly Check, and it was so much fun. I haven't seen Pontiac like that in forever. And a good crowd until the downpour happened and kind of chased people away. But events like that, I think people are craving that right now coming out of the pandemic.
I do too. And again, I kind of see the city through a red velvet rope. Back in the 80s or 90s, if you went to New York, you walked down the street, you'd see one city. But if you knew where to go and you knew who it was manning the red velvet ropes, you'd see a very different and much cooler city. And frankly, that's Pontiac. If you came with Carly, you saw a different city than somebody who just wanders in off the loop and drives through downtown. We have a major development that is now funded and will finally, after 8 years, kick off next year, and that's the redirection of the Woodward Loop. And when that happens, it'll be easier for people to find their way into our town. Woodward's going to become two-way on what is currently the southbound portion. There'll be bike trails leading into town, and that will really undo a lot of economic development here. So sadly, what's happening here and why I'm excited to be on your show today is we're pulling the canvas off of the project that's been in works now formally since 2016, when we had a group of international planners come to town, led by Andres Dewani out of Miami and Mark Nikita here locally, to redesign what the downtown looks like, not for now, not for the next 5 years, but for the next 100 years. So the city will be more eco-friendly than any city in Oakland County. There will be room for more startups, more artists, more affordable housing, more of the hip and creative businesses that are really the engines of the U.S. economy and beyond. So, and that all takes a lot longer than you would expect. So, and it's not something you'd see from the outside driving through town.
So Pontiac's future, really the silver lining could be the COVID-19 pandemic and some of this money and also interest coming into the city.
Yeah, it's very grassrootsy, and you're absolutely right. That was a turning point. I've been saying COVID accelerated the future for so many industries, whether it was the evolution of retail or the way we office. And we're prime and well positioned to take advantage of all those trends here right now.
Bob Waun with us here on the Megacast. He's the owner of Dirt Realty in Pontiac. With that, Bob, there are so many other things I want to talk to you about, but I know that we're taking up too much of your time, so we'd love to have you on the show again. If anything, just to talk about the history of Pontiac, because I know you're kind of a history buff as well.
I don't think you can own a building in this town without getting into the history. You literally open up the walls, and one day we had checks fall out of the ceiling of one of my buildings that were from the Civil War, with very prominent names on the checks. So it is it's been an archaeological dig, Ronnie, for too long, and I'd love to come back and talk about that.
That is so exciting. We'd love to have you as well. And thank you, though, as someone who lives in a neighboring community, because, and I've done so much volunteer work in Pontiac. Used to go out every weekend with the Animal Care Network, and I will say, it's like you said, the Woodward Loop is so confusing. And I live a mile away, and it doesn't matter how many times I've been in Pontiac, I still always get lost and get confused. Yeah. So thank you for all the work that you're doing and so many others to try to bring Pontiac back.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be on your show and get the good news out to people.
Well, good. And we'll have you on again. So, again, Bob Waun with us, owner Dirt Realty Pontiac. If you haven't been to Pontiac in a while, check it out. I mean, they do have some new restaurants there, but again, we want to continue to say, let's support local. And our communities are only as healthy as the communities around us. So I think exciting things are going to be happening in Pontiac. With that, we'll take a quick break here on the Megacast. And when we come back, we're actually going to be taking a little ride and headed to the city of Southfield. That's next here on the Megacast.
How does marijuana affect the teen brain?
Our brains are still developing into our 20s.
With regular use, marijuana can affect teen brain development.
It can affect our brain's circuitry and blood flow and impair thinking, learning, and memory function,
which could hold us back from reaching our potential.
Don't let marijuana mess with your brain.
Get the facts at michigan.gov/drug-free.
Struggling right now.
I am.
My son is.
Many are struggling with anxiety, depression, and substance use. Before it becomes a crisis, reach out to MyCal, the Michigan Crisis and Access Line, for free confidential support 24/7. Available in the Upper Peninsula and Oakland County. Just call or text 1-844-44-MyCal or chat online at michigan.gov/MyCal. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Motorcyclists are hard to see. To keep everyone safer, it's important to always look for them and know where most crashes occur. 84% of motorcycle and vehicle crashes happen on streets, not highways. And most crashes with motorcyclists occur when vehicle drivers are turning left. So before turning, especially to the left, make sure you look for motorcyclists. Then look again. It could save a life.
Great to have you with us here on the Megacast. You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. You can also always catch us Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. If you have cable, you'll find us at Channel 15 on Comcast, 99 on AT&T, or you can catch us on Facebook. We make it easy. We're live streaming today's edition of the show on our Facebook page. One of the great things I think about living in Metro Detroit, especially Oakland County, the diversity of our community. And there is so much to do, and boundaries do not stop us from enjoying all the great things that Metro Detroit has to offer. And with that, let's go ahead and bring in Mayor Siver. He's the mayor of the fine city of Southfield. Great to have you with us, Mayor. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you? This is Kenson Siver, mayor of Southfield for the last 6 years.
So, Mayor, can I ask you, how are things going this summer? Feels a little different than last summer?
Well, we've come out from underneath the rock that we were all hiding under, and we're doing well. We kept the city running all through the pandemic. Obviously, everybody had to pivot. We had to do things a little differently. We survived. We had no layoffs here, and we continued road building projects. And amazingly, our building department was extremely busy. We had many, many new projects start as well as renovations. So this was, the pandemic didn't slow some aspects of our city operations.
It was a great time for renovations, right? People weren't in the buildings.
Exactly.
So can I ask you, because you do have so many office buildings there in the city of Southfield, are you concerned that because of COVID-19, it's changed a little bit how we work and that some of those office spaces will now be sitting empty? Or do you anticipate eventually we'll get back to the life we once knew?
Well, we've had maybe 3 companies stay in Southfield, but they've reduced their space. But what I'm hearing from many, many folks is they want their team back at work. It's about team building. It's about interfacing with one another and their customers. We have had no mass exodus or anything like that. And as I drive around the city, the parking lots are getting fuller and fuller as we have more people vaccinated and people returning to normal.
So with that as well, you talked about returning to normal. How are things there at City Hall?
We're open. People are in the building every day. We've been doing outdoor events. We have Friday night concerts. We're getting ready for the Kimmy Horn Jazz Festival, which is a 2-day event on the front lawn of the Southfield Municipal Campus. That'll be the August 13th and 14th. What we tell people, if you're not vaccinated, please wear a mask. And if you are uncomfortable, don't attend. You can still, or don't come to City Hall. If you feel you need to stay home, stay home. but we're open, and of course you can continue to do things online through applications or bill payments, whatever city business you need to conduct.
What about meetings? Are like city council meetings, are they going to be in person or continue to be remote for a while?
They are remote until September, unless the city council reverses that decision, but I'm not hearing anything to that effect.
Mayor Kenson Siver with us here on the Megacast. He is the mayor of the fine city of Southfield. And can I ask you, on the business front, how are things looking? Because we do know that, especially when it comes to restaurants, a lot of them are centered around the return of office workers. Are you seeing more restaurants close, or have they been able to survive the shutdown or the slowdown because of COVID?
We've only had 3 restaurants close. And honestly, 2 of them pre-COVID were not doing that well. So I think COVID kind of finished them. But as far as our restaurants, I right from the get-go, when we declared a state of emergency here and then the governor's lockdown orders, we went out and put signs up on the street in front of every restaurant saying we're open for takeout. And honestly, and then we did a lot of small grants through the help of Oakland County to restaurant owners. But talking to a number of restaurant owners, they said, you know, we thought it was going to be really dire, and instead, people got to eat, and a guy like me doesn't like to. I mean, I'll cook a couple days a week, but most of the time I either want to go out or I want to do takeout. So, a lot of takeout business. So they did quite well, and now I see people in restaurants. Everything seems to be going well.
So can I ask you, Mayor, from being an elected leader standpoint, what's the last year been like for you?
Well, I just delivered the State of the City address, and I called it Pivot and Advance was the theme. We accomplished a great deal, but we had to get creative, and we had to do things in different ways. I mean, we replaced all of our fire trucks and ladder truck, 4 new EMS units. We continued our public art initiatives. A number of pieces were put out, new pieces in the community. And as I mentioned earlier, our building department and planning departments were extremely busy this year. We have new housing starts going up, and new condo and apartment construction. So I think overall we managed, and I felt all along safety always comes first, but life goes on, and you have to continue to keep delivering services and keep things rolling. So, but you know, as an example, we have really big news this week, and that is the sale of Northland. We've been working on this sale. We took over Northland in December of 2015, and we had a number of false starts, but we have the closing this Thursday with everything wrapped up hopefully by the 27th or 29th of July. And that's a 100-acre redevelopment project that we're very, very excited about.
Wow, and I will say for anyone that lives in this area, Northland Mall is a part of all of our history. You know, it was like the largest shopping center in the country?
It was the first modern shopping mall, and was designed by Victor Gruen and financed by the Hudson Weber Company. Originally, it was 80 stores surrounding a 500,000 square foot Hudson's department store. And in the end, there were additional, or over the years, excuse me, over the years, there were, it grew to 200 stores and additional anchors. And then it was a regional shopping center, and of course, a lot of competition in the ensuing years, and then retail changed. So while Hudson's Northland was a groundbreaking development in retailing changed again. And as we know, Northland is not the only mall that has gone under. We have really hundreds of them across the country.
So I know
that I think that as a country, we have overbuilt retail. But
so if I can ask you, Mayor, what was the thought process? I believe the city bought the property back in 2015, 2016 for just over $2 million. What was the thought process in the city buying that private property?
Well, it's the gateway to Southfield, as you know, at Greenfield and the Lodge Freeway and 8 Mile. And at one time, that was one of the busiest intersections in Michigan. And obviously the mall was a huge success. It's got a tremendous history, but its undoing was the expansion of other malls, glitzier, newer, and a shrinking of the economic base surrounding the mall, in other words, shoppers. So when it went in, and then the last owner, which I had met with several times, encouraging them to do more, and said, what can we do to help you? So we got some streets repaved near the mall. We loosened our signage requirements, but they were really just basically squeezing whatever they could out of the property. And so they weren't doing the real things that needed to be done to keep the mall viable. And so obviously they defaulted on a $34 million loan, went into receivership, and then the receiver was putting the property up for sale. And there were nobody coming forward that had real capital. There were a number of people that said, well, we'll buy the property if somebody else does the demolition, because that's a huge piece. And then we had some really, I won't go into what they were, but I'll just say they were sketchy. It wasn't something that we wanted here, and felt that, there are a number of examples where somebody buys a property, doesn't really have the capital to do something with it, and then it sits. The downtown Hudson's building it was a prime example, and then it ended up being stripped.
Yep.
People with nefarious schemes, and then they would end up walking away. And so this was a real concern of ours. So we decided that to control the destiny of this property, that we would purchase it. And so we purchased it for $2.4 million. And then closed in December of 2015. In 2016, we did a community visioning session for the mall. What does the Southfield community want to see there? We developed a plan, and in the meantime, to our horror, we discovered that there are 33 easements on this property. And when we bought the mall, we didn't buy Hudson's. It was separately owned by the Macy Company. We did not own Target in 8 acres. We did not own J.C. Penney's building. We did not own the Massini building, which was a former auto service center on Greenfield, and some other adjacent properties. And so we spent really a couple of years doing environmental cleanup, getting rid of 33 easements. That would, a lot of them were crazy easements. That auto service center had 13. It sits on 2 acres. It had 1,300 parking space easement. Crazy. That was 10 acres.
Wow.
That we had to clean that up. So then we had a number of false starts, and but here we are today with a mixed-use development going to start this summer.
Wow. And how long do you anticipate it's going to take for that project to be completed?
Well, it's obviously it's going to take years.
Yeah.
We're talking about 100 acres. We're talking about some demolition. I'm a big proponent of adaptive reuse. It's unsustainable what we do as a society. And your speaker prior to my coming on with doing real estate in Pontiac, I salute the things that he has done to save structures. Northland was built as a nuclear bomb shelter. The basement and the foundations are incredible. 22-foot high ceilings. Hudson's alone had 5 tractor trailer bays underground.
Wow.
There are 384 rooms down there. Anybody in engineering that has gone into the basement of Northland goes, oh my God, this place is built. So why would you destroy all that? And obviously it would be at great cost to take all of that out. So we will be repurposing the original mall.
That's great to hear. And hey, Mayor, if I can ask you just another minute or two here with you on the Megacast, what happened to the statue, Boy and the Bear, that used to sit in the middle of the mall?
I'm so glad you asked that.
I mean, that was a big thing. I remember taking my picture next to that.
Well, you and thousands of others. So when the mall closed or was closing, I got wind of the fact that the receiver was desperate for cash, and there are 18 pieces of art at Northland. And it was set to go to Dumichel's, and I intervened and purchased the art, the 18 pieces, for $500,000. No, I didn't have $500,000. So I went to the city council and asked, we can't save the mall, but we have to save this historic collection. And the council agreed. I went to the city administration. They said, well, good luck. So I was able to secure a $500,000 loan at 1%. And within a year, we paid back the loan plus raised another $600,000, and are slowly restoring all of the pieces and placing them out in the community. So at the Southfield Public Library in the atrium is Boy and Bear by Marshall Fredericks. Joseph Anthony McDonald's The Whale, the fountain, Moby Dick, is in the library fountain. The model of the Mackinac Bridge is in the library. The Peacock from the Peacock Court at Northland is outside the library, and other pieces are scattered around the city. So I'm extremely proud of our art commission and our friends at Southfield Public Arts that had the wisdom and the foresight to save this collection.
Well, with that, I'm going to have to head over to the library and take a new picture. And I will say you guys have a really great library. When I worked over at Channel 7, we used to go over there all the time and for research and sometimes just to hang out, get out of the office. So, Mayor, we so appreciate your time. And also, I want to say congratulations on a great hire for the new police chief. Great hire there, Detroit's loss.
Absolutely. After Chief Craig announced his retirement, I read it in the paper in the morning. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. I called up the chief and I said, I'm coming over there and chain you to your desk. You're not leaving us. And he's not. He's been a tremendous hire. Elvin Barron is very proactive. He's moved to the city. He shows up at everything. We're extremely pleased to have him as our new police chief.
Well, we want to thank you for your time, and we hope that the new development over there at the old Northland property goes well. So, best of luck.
Well, thank you for having me. We have a lot of good stories to tell, and I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you again.
Again, if you want to check out some of the events going on in the city of Southfield, you can do so. Just go over to their website. I know they have an events page there. We'll take a break here on the Megacast, and when we come back, we are going to hop on 75 and head north to the village of Clarkston. That's next here on the Megacast.
To Sophia and Gabriel, even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
You see certain things get reincarnated in your children. My daughter is very much inspired by my wife's artistic pursuits. So my daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. Your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops. My dad wasn't around, and I remember riding a bike and falling off and cutting myself, and me never just wanted to get back on it. People ask, how your children learn how to ride a bike, and you didn't. I didn't teach them. I just created an environment where they taught themselves, and all I had to do was be there.
Here's one more reason to get the COVID-19 vaccine. It's your shot to win. Anyone 18 years or older in Michigan vaccinated between December 1st, 2020 and July 30th, 2021 is now eligible to win millions in cash prizes, including $1 million jackpots and $50,000 daily prizes. And vaccinated students could win thousands in college scholarships. For eligibility details and to enter, go to mishottowin.com.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us here on the Megacast. You'll catch us Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon live. Civic Center TV, Birmingham Area Municipal Access. If you have cable, you'll find us Channel 15. If you have Comcast 99 on AT&T, you can also listen to us on the radio, 89.3 Lakes FM, 88.1 FM The Biff. And if that's still not available to you, we make it easy. Just go ahead and live stream the show on Facebook. So that's what makes us the Megacast. People, Tyler, still say, what's the Megacast?
Yeah, they do. They do. And we have to explain it every time, but it's pretty simple once you think about it.
With that, we've been talking to some of our leaders about the cities here in Oakland County. And from one of the largest cities in the state of Michigan, we're now going to head up 75 to one of the smallest, if not the smallest, the village of Clarkston. Excited to bring in Eric Haven, the mayor of Clarkston. Great to have you with us. How are you?
Thank you so much, Ronnie. It's a pleasure being with you this morning.
How lucky do you feel to be able to live in such a gem of a city?
Wow, I'm glad you recognize that. My wife and I have been here almost 50 years in this town. We've lived in 3 homes. We've raised our kids and our grandkids here, and are really looking forward to the future of Clarkston. Really, it is a unique town that is unique in respect to its, certainly in many respects, but size. It is, in fact, the smallest city in Clarkston, and I'm hoping you're seeing me all right because I'm on my phone and I'm having some calls interfering. But did the video break up at that point?
It did. Your name came up, but I'm sure maybe you were getting a message or something.
Well, I'm trying to. I'll be quicker to decline these things if they happen again. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. We understand. We're all learning new technology.
Exactly. I got my iPhone propped in an awkward way here, but it's okay. It's working, so we don't care. But anyway, just Clarkston's a unique place, and my wife and I have been thrilled to live here over the years, and it's iconic, really. Frankly, I kind of call it the Camelot, of Southeast Michigan, where nothing goes wrong here. It's a great place to live.
So I will ask Mr. Mayor, because I think I was really surprised that you were just named a city in 1992. I thought that the village has been around so much longer.
Yes, no. Well, the village has. The village was established. A guy by the name of Butler Holcomb hacked his way through the jungle from Detroit, looking for some high ground that water would flow over. Back in 1832, it was established. He built the first dam here. Many of the cities in our area are what's called mill villages. And the reason they have that designation is because of their origin in capturing water power. When water flows from a high level to a low level, you can put a wheel in place and you can use that energy to generate power for doing various things. And obviously, the first thing you got to do is build buildings in a city. And so they did that. Butler Holcomb built a logging mill here. And many of the homes that are still in Clarkston, have been built from that logging mill. And so those early Greek Revival homes, had that very unique origin. But we're not unique in that respect. Like Orion and Birmingham and Rochester, a lot of these towns around us were mill villages originally.
So much history, but with that, I know that for some of us that don't live in Clarkston, it's your downtown area that's such a destination because you have some fabulous restaurants there in such a small area too. How does that work for you and the budget in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, it was interesting. We experienced something I think many towns experienced. I was up at Mackinac Island a couple weeks ago and saw a painting of what Main Street looked like on Mackinac Island during COVID-19. It was almost like one of those pictures from the Western movies where you have tumbleweed, blowing down the street. We had it was a very vacant feeling, a very unsettling feeling. I know Kurt Catello from the wood shop. He put a sign in the window that he had as many as 700 employees that were, not being employed like they were certainly before. And he's done a great job, and he and others have done a great job here to bolster up. But it was a tough time. There's no question about it. And we're so glad that we see the business returning. And Clarkston, if you've not been here in the last few weeks, it seems to be booming again, and we're really hopeful for the future.
So with that, too, how is your budget? Because you are such a small community. Did the pandemic hit your bottom line harder than some of the larger cities?
It's interesting. State revenue sharing in Michigan overall is the last in the nation. And so all of the municipalities have to suffer from that. But in terms of our people, we've had a stable budget over the years. So it's about an $800,000 budget. And we've had our challenges for sure. And where we've had a higher fund balance, which is sort of that budgetary margin you keep as a budget, has had to be reduced. We've done that just to be good stewards, of the monies we do have. But nevertheless, we have a balanced budget just approved last meeting, as a matter of fact, by our city council. We're looking forward to now the upturn. We've been through downturns before, but we're looking forward to the upturn and increased revenue because as you also know, on the other side of this coin, interestingly, in our economy, the housing prices and so on have gone up. We're selling, and I know this is true in other places as well, but in Clarkston, houses are going above list, and as a result, then taxes are adjusted accordingly. And so there's some incremental increase in taxation. But there's other revenue streams that we're looking at as well to bolster that economy. One of them that's been very helpful to us in the past, and we really put it in mothballs during COVID, was paid parking in our town. We had very minimal paid parking there before at the intersection of Washington and Main at just $1 an hour. But that raised us almost $100,000 a year, for doing infrastructure work in a town. I said we're the smallest city in Michigan. We're 1/2 square mile in geographic size. We have 900 people and 400 homes here. So we are a microcosm, especially compared to, the Pontiac and Southfield, people you had interviewed earlier. We're very unique, but I think that uniqueness is really our distinction, one of our distinctions that is a pleasant one in that respect.
And we have found throughout the pandemic, more and more people are attracted to the smaller communities and the walkable community. And so do you anticipate that you're going to have more interest, or maybe businesses wanting to come there, or even more families wanting to move there?
I think so. Interest is certainly, we're limited. We're virtually built out. But there are a couple of opportunities on a couple of pieces of property locally where we could do some expansion of perhaps some multiples and so on for people. We're interested in people here aging in place because our community is primarily a bedroom community. We're a small residential community, about 50% residential. We're about 30% water uniquely, which is really interesting. We're one of the Clinton River watershed's water towns. Which makes our Central Park, I say New York has nothing on us. We have a Central Park too, and that's our Depot Park. But the interest is here, and we're also looking at some connection with Independence Township, which is our surrounding township, to make us part of a bike path system. As you probably know, the Iron Bell Trail runs near here. That runs all the way from Iron Mountain down to Belle Isle. And so I think we're going to see a whole lot of infrastructure and also mobility changes in the future. And Clarkston wants to be very much part of all that.
So if I could ask you, Mayor, again, we're talking with Eric Haven. He's the mayor for the city of the Village of Clarkston. How important has collaboration been during the pandemic, but also outside of the pandemic, because you are a smaller community?
Collaboration in what respect?
With other, like you mentioned, Independence Township or Oakland County as well. I know county officials have really tried to help a lot of the restaurants throughout the pandemic.
Yes, good point. Both from the standpoint of Independence Township and the county, we've had a really good rapport. I mean, obviously, they, like everyone else, every other institution, has had limited resources, but they've been willing to share them. And that's been a benefit to our restaurants and other businesses in town. I've been involved with both Pat Kittle at the Independence Township, as well as county officials in terms of garnering some of these resources for subsidies for our restaurants and other businesses here. So, no, it's been very helpful. I mean, it's been a team approach for sure. Had to be in this country. We had to come together, had to pull together. And so we are blessed, I think, in that respect, that we've had good rapport and good communication with other civic leaders.
So if I can ask you, any positives that came out of the pandemic?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I noted this early on, back in March of 20 or so, when we were just beginning to understand what in the world we were in the midst of. We saw people respond in very interesting ways. For example, I think parents were concerned about their young children and the effect on their kids, and the school being tenuous at the beginning and almost non-existent. Then later on, as far as going in and seeing their friends and so on, people did some things, simple things like you'd never think, but they put teddy bears in their windows. So that the kids, they could walk their kids around town, and they could see a little glimmer of hope in a child's eye, in terms of that kind of thing. There was a move afoot to do more with our flags. We started early on putting flags up. Now, the Optimist Club has been tremendous in cooperation with us. It's one of our organizations that's very supportive of the city and the children in the city in particular. Their fundraising projects are for the children. But they've got a flag program, which is, I think it's $40 a flag per year, but they put up flags at 7 different flag holidays during that period of time. And it makes the town just pop because we are such a historic town anyway. But to see Main Street and the side streets just aligned with American flags is a real emotional boost and a really privileged part of the fun of living here, that environmental piece. So we've seen people show up. We learned some things relative to our park. We had to close it for a while, but people came and said, "Look, let's clean your equipment," and they used solvents and so on, to clean our equipment and so on. So we saw this kind of responsiveness, from our people, from our businesses. With takeout business, of course, that was true everywhere, but you could walk in and take out from the restaurants and so on. So it was a great community. And that's where you learn about your community. You learn who your people are when you watch their responsiveness to a crisis like we had.
Yeah, there's nothing, it always is. A crisis tends to bring us all together. And Mayor, I'm going to put you on a spot here for just a second. You have so many fabulous restaurants in such a small area. Which one is your favorite?
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I frequent them all. But the Wood Shop is the classic old Clarkston Cafe. Owned and managed by Kirk Catello and Eric Lines. They do a great job there. The Union down the street from them at the south end of town, and south end's not very far. It's just a few steps from the center of town. But Honcho's in between. That's on the east side of Main Street, and then on the other side we have the Fed, which was a reconstructed, that's probably the wrong word, probably just a better utilized bank building, our state bank building, which they removed all the interior, and so you can see all the stonework and the vault in there. It's a fun place to eat. Next door to them, of course, is the iconic Rudy's Market. If you've never been to Rudy's, you've got to go there. But they have purchased recently the newspaper building, which sits alongside them, a beautiful architectural piece, and they're looking to expand into that facility. Then across the street again on the east side is our classic breakfast and lunch place, which is the Old Village Cafe. So if you're not familiar with Clarkston, it really sounds like you are, but if for anyone who isn't familiar with Clarkston, this is the place to come and frequent. And I just wanted to mention, if I might, too, there's an excellent opportunity to do that on the July 21st. We have our garden walk here in Clarkston, and so there'll be 6 distinctive gardens displayed by our garden club, and the restaurants are offering special deals for lunch and dinner and so on. The tickets are only $15. They're available at the library and the Bourdines and Gateway, the Gateway, the business establishment at the north end of town. So it's a great, on a Wednesday from 11 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. It's a great place to come and just a great time to come and just visit Clarkston. You got to get a feel for this very, you mentioned it, pedestrian, community, walkable community.
Very much so. I will say for me, it's always, you go to the wood shop for the mac and cheese.
Yeah.
But the Fed, it's like you said, what they've done with the building there is fabulous, but their food is incredible as well. So many great restaurants right there. So you guys are lucky to have it in your backyard.
We are. We really are. We're, like I say, we're 50% residential, but I think we're only like 6% commercial. But that 6%, it pops. It really does. And we're a destination for people who love restaurants. And of course, we've got restaurants on the outside of the village as well, which are Cruz and Muir's out on Dixie Highway, out back just to our south and so on. And so there's a whole lot of things to enjoy and food to enjoy here in Clarkston.
Well, we hope the summer is back. Like they said, bring the fun back in 21, and it seems like we are there. So, Mayor, we so appreciate your time.
Excellent. Thanks for including me and having me on the program. I appreciate it, Ronnie and Tyler.
Very much so. Again, Eric Haven, the mayor for the village of Clarkston. I will say, my friend, she lives in Grand Blanc, and so Clarkston's kind of our meeting spot, and so we do brunch quite often at the Fed.
I've never been there, but that sounds, but just the story that Eric was saying, what you were saying here just a few minutes ago about it, it sounds like a really interesting place. I'll have to go check it out.
You definitely have to. It's amazing what they did with the old building, and I love that, how they repurpose some of these buildings into cool things. Hey, just about 20 minutes left here on the Monday edition of the Megacast. When we come back, we'll be talking with the public relations specialist for the Detroit Public Library. That's next here on the Megacast.
Can I ask you a question? Why'd you get vaccinated?
I'd like to go to these school dances and spring break to have fun.
I want to be in person for college next semester.
I want to get out of this pandemic.
I wanted to protect the people around me.
Why did you get vaccinated?
Because I'm really looking forward to hanging out with my friends.
I just want to go to a show, dance around, not have to worry about anything, feel like I'm free again.
So we can not miss out on the best years of our life.
How does marijuana affect the teen brain?
Our brains are still developing into our 20s.
With regular use, marijuana can affect teen brain development.
It can affect our brain's circuitry and blood flow and impair thinking, learning, and memory function.
Which could hold us back from reaching our potential.
Don't let marijuana mess with your brain.
Get the facts at michigan.gov/drug-free.
Here's one more reason to get the COVID-19 vaccine. It's your shot to win. Anyone 18 years or older in Michigan vaccinated between December 1st, 2020 and July 30th, 2021 is now eligible to win millions in cash prizes, including $1 million jackpots and $50,000 daily prizes. And vaccinated students could win thousands in college scholarships. For eligibility details and to enter, go to mishottowin.com.
Thank you for being with us here on the Megacast. I'm Ronnie Dahl here in the studios alongside the one, the only Mr. Tyler Keefe. And I will say, Tyler, one of the things I miss about working in downtown Detroit, escaping to the public library. I used to do that quite often. And it's an amazing building, even if you're not going to check out a book. But it's a great place to do research, but also just to enjoy the architecture. But how are things going for the library, especially because they just had the big flood as well? So let's bring in Katie Dugevich. What is it? I know. I even practiced it this morning, Katie. I'm sorry. Pronounce your last name for me.
It's Dugevich.
Dugevich. With that, you're the public relations specialist. What a cool job you have.
Oh, it's a lot of fun because we have so much always going on at the public library, and it's great to be able to tell everyone what cool and interesting things are happening that maybe they don't necessarily know about. And so today actually is a big day for our library system because we are starting off our new hours campaign, and beginning today, all of our open locations have now extended the hours in which they are open to the public. So for Monday through Thursdays, our branches, the Campbell, Edison, Jefferson, Parkman, Redford, and Wilder branches are now going to be open from 10 till 8 at night. And we're in our summer mode now, so our branches are open on Fridays and closed on Saturdays. But once the school year starts, they'll switch, and they'll be open Saturdays from 10 to 6. And our Sunday hours will resume back in October. And that means that some of our locations, including our Redford and Wilder branches, will now be open 7 days a week for our customers. So we're trying to make it as accessible and easy for them to come into the library and get what they need and the services and the books, because we're still short and closed some of our branches because of the pandemic. and we want to be able to still serve our customers. And so this is one way we're doing it, by having these hours that are now convenient for everyone. So whether you come in the evening or in the morning, we have libraries open that are going to help alleviate some of that frustration that I think a lot of our customers have had during the pandemic, when we've had to, close branches and reduce our hours to keep our patrons and our employees safe. And additionally, with those extended hours, we've also increased our current capacity at our open locations to 50%. Our daily time limits have also increased to 2 hours a day. And probably the most exciting thing for all of our customers is that they'll be able to receive full reference services. They'll now be able to browse the shelves, and they'll be able to check out all the materials, because previously, as a customer, you would have to put a hold on a book, and then you would be notified when it was available for you to come pick it up, either in the building or curbside. But as we've been easing some of the restrictions, now you can come and browse the shelves, check out the materials, and even check out magazines and DVDs as well. So we're really excited about that. And we're hoping, again, that this will just be a great benefit to all of our loyal customers who've been sticking with us this past year, and will continue to do so. Once the main library reopens, they'll also have the extended hour schedule. And that means that the main library will also now be open 7 days a week, which is notable because this will be the first time that the library will be open on Mondays since 1981. Wow. And we're just really happy to be able to expand this service for everyone. But as you know, I just wanted to point out that our main library is temporarily closed through Labor Day as we deal with cleaning up after that flood. But after Labor Day, the main library should also then be open on this extended hour schedule.
So Katie, if I can ask you, talking about the flood, how much damage to the library? I'm not completely sure. I know that they had crews on site immediately after it was discovered, and it seems a lot of our neighbors here in Midtown are also dealing with this as well. I think they've just been doing a lot of inventory and drying everything out. And luckily, any damage was relegated to our basement levels. So it's just a matter of them assessing and taking an inventory. But again, for the safety of staff and also our customers, they've decided to keep the building closed to the public until that time, so that they know everything is safe and all of the effects have been taken care of. But it's a little bit of a disappointment, because actually 2021 was supposed to be our big centennial celebration for the main library on Woodward. And we, a couple of years ago, we had started talking about how can we celebrate and what's our plan going to be. And then with the pandemic and now, of course, the flood, our celebrations are kind of taken a back seat, and they've all been virtual so far. But it's a huge and notable thing to have this building be standing here on the spot in Woodward for 100 years. If you look at some of the early photos, there really was nothing in this Midtown area. I mean, there were some fields and there were some large homes, but for instance, our neighbor across the street, the DIA, hadn't been completed yet. And so we were kind of like the first in this Midtown area. And it's a beautiful building, and we're looking forward to being able to celebrate at some point in the future. But like at the moment, we're just dealing with the effects of the flood. But stay tuned, because we have had some programs earlier in the spring that virtual, and their programs where we had discussions of the history of the architect and the architecture and the art. We actually have those recorded, and they're available on our YouTube channel if anyone's interested in checking them out. But it's the construction of this building began back in 1915, where they laid the cornerstone. And then, of course, there was World War I, and so construction had to be delayed.
So it took until March of 1921 before the building on Woodward was formally open to the public. And so we're still here. We're still full of the wonderful books and knowledge and the art and architecture that was created for specifically this building back then.
So with that, Katie, I will say too, because how has the library changed over, let's say, even prior to the pandemic? Because so many people aren't reading books any longer. Everything is going like digital.
I think a lot of stuff has gone digital, but there's still always going to be that need for a book. Our executive director likes to call the public library, the community's living room, and that was definitely true. So we always offered more than just books. I mean, I think books are what might have brought people in the door, but then when they realized everything else that they could do at the public library, they stayed. So, they could check out movies and DVDs, or they could use the computers, or they could stay for programs like author talks or concerts. And so I've always offered such a wide range of services and programs that there's always something for everyone. And as we've seen over this past year, the need and the interest and want for just even checking out books has not diminished. So we've been able to maintain that service over the past year. So patrons can still check out items, they can pick them up. They can, at the main library, they're able to do a curbside delivery, so they wouldn't even have to leave their vehicle. And that has remained a constant regardless. And so all of the extras that we've added have been a really great benefit. But I still see, even in the future, there's always going to be a place for books, and the library will still be, the holder of those as we expand digitally and offer, extended services as well. But
it's a great library. If you ever have to do any type of research, it is the place to go. And the staff there is amazing. And if I can ask you, I know that obviously right now we're in the summer months and trying to keep kids engaged and reading through the summer. Do you guys have any summer reading programs going on?
Yeah, so right now we're in the midst of summer reading. We have summer reading for kids, teens, and even adults this year. And what we're encouraging people is to go to our website to create an account on Beanstack, and there you are just able to log how many minutes you read a day. And for everyone who creates an account and logs minutes read, they're going to be eligible for the grand prize drawing at the end of the summer. And we're also having some digital type and virtual programs for kids. So we have weekly story time videos on our website and on our YouTube channel. And the wonderful children's librarians have also created take and make crafts to go along with their weekly story. So at any of our open branches, you can pick up a different weekly craft that kind of corresponds with one of the story time videos. There's a lot of programs starting with for this month, also for the teens, that involve learning how to do like coding in Tinkercad and AI information. And so while we're not necessarily having our traditional summer reading of having kids come to the library and take part in activities and programs, we're still offering the same type of incentives and prizes and crafts that they have experienced in previous summers, just in a little bit more of a virtual setting. But we really encourage everyone to register for our summer reading and to record your minutes, and then you can be entered into the grand prize at the end of the summer. So it's just a great way to kind of motivate, it can be, it's summer and you don't necessarily want to read, but it's a really simple and easy interface, and all you have to do is just kind of like on the calendar check how many minutes you read that day, and it'll keep you encouraged, hopefully you and the children as well, to keep on reading and keep on recording, because again, everyone likes prizes, so it's a great way to motivate.
Hey, Katie Dagovich with us here on the Megacast. She's the public relations specialist for the Detroit Public Library. Just about a minute with you, Katie, if I can ask. I know that you have so many programs for people that aren't just Detroit residents. You have a digital library card. How does that work? Do you have to be a resident to take advantage of some of the programs that you do offer?
All of our virtual and online programs are free and open to the public regardless of where you live. So we have the events listed on our website with the instructions on how to RSVP, and you'll just be given a link to log in. So we encourage everyone to check out. We have an author talk tonight starting at 6 that you can register for and take part in. Additionally, our mobile library is visiting stops throughout the community all summer. Some of our really fun ones are every Tuesday morning. The mobile library is at Eastern Market. So you can stop by and see us there. There's free book giveaways and Wi-Fi and lots of fun stuff to do. On Thursday and Friday mornings, the mobile library is also at Gabriel Richard Park on Jefferson with the Reading and Rhythm on the Riverfront. So again, you can stop by there. And these are just for everyone to come and enjoy and take part. And so you can either visit the mobile library or take part in our online programs. And again, they're free and open to everyone. And we have on our website all of the information on ways to register and link and get involved.
Katie, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Again, the Detroit Public Library. Check out their events. This has been the Oakland County Megacast.